Okay, it is 1:05. I'm happy to just get started if everyone's queued up. I know folks are just joining, so welcome. Um, my name is Bethany Sirota, and I am the Deputy Director of Programs and Operations for the Mayor's Office of Workforce Development. Good afternoon. It's so great to be here with you all. Thank you so much, Jake and Susan from MassHire Downtown Boston, for joining us. I know we're going to be looking at a wonderful presentation from both of you. Um, Today's presentation is all about virtual job fairs and how to navigate a virtual job and education resource fair, which, as many of you may know, we have a job fair and education resource fair happening next week during Second Chance at Reentry Week, which starts on May 16th. But the job fair takes place on May 19th from 1 to 2:30, and the education resource fair will take place on next Friday, the 21st, from 1 to 2:30 as well. On behalf of Mayor Janey, Trin Wynn, the director of the Mayor's Office of Workforce Development, all of the partners in the series, primarily MassHire Downtown Boston. Thank you so much, Susan and Doreen. To Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, BeProximate. We wanted to thank you all for joining us. I just want to really quickly take a few minutes to highlight Project Opportunity, which is approaching its first year of existence. We were launched under Mayor Walsh in an effort to better support residents impacted by CORI. And I'm so excited about the work that we're going to be doing under Mayor Janey in our second phase and second iteration. Project Opportunity is a collaborative effort between 4 city departments and the Lawyers Clearinghouse. The leadership team and internal partners include Dr. Rufus Falk and the Office of Workforce Development, Office of Public Safety, Talia Wright Rivera and Davo Jefferson of SOAR Boston, Kevin Sibley of the Office of Returning Citizen, and Crispin Birnbaum is the leader in charge over at the Lawyers Clearinghouse for our CORI sealing and expungement program. And on that note, really the cornerstone of Project Opportunity is our sealing and expungement program. We offer free CORI sealing and expungement clinics. We have a number of pro bono attorneys who offer their volunteer hours to consult, and if you're eligible, also represent an applicant for their CORI sealing or expungement process for free. We know that having a CORI is a significant barrier to employment, to housing, other vital resources, and we know that the cost associated with removing this barrier can be exorbitant for so many. So we're so pleased to have this program in place, and also to report that we've served over 300 residents in our clinics, with about 60% being eligible for current or future sealing. Another facet of Project Opportunity are virtual panels and job fairs such as today, and CORI trainings that we offer to internal and external partners. So we're so excited that we were able to partner with MassHire Downtown Boston, Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, and BeProximate and Project Opportunity. And there are folks actually behind the wall who are joining us today. So we welcome you all if you're justice involved, both currently incarcerated or just returning to the community. This is a CORI-friendly job fair, but it is open to all members of the community. We've previously hosted Why and How to Create a Resume. Last Tuesday, you'll find a link to that webinar, a recording of that webinar on our Project Opportunity site. Last week, we also hosted, thanks to MassHire again, Interview Basics. That was last Thursday. A link to that recording will be posted. We are recording this workshop, and the job fair and education resource fair will also be recorded as well. I'll plug in the Project Opportunity website in the chat, as well as the flyers. So if you know of anybody who might be interested in CORI sealing or expungement, we ask you to share that flyer. If you know folks who are just looking for a new start, or a job, or you're planning your next step, we ask you to join us at the Community Job Fair and Education Resource Fair, and to check out MassHire Downtown Boston as the wonderful resource that they are in helping job seekers be prepared and secure positions. So to that end, I'm going to turn it over to Susan and Jake to talk about MassHire and get the program started. Thank you all for being here again.
Thank you, Bethany. Thank you for that great introduction. So as Bethany said, my name is Jake Landis. I'm a business services associate at MassHire Downtown Boston. So I want to thank you, Bethany, and Project Opportunity for having myself and Susan here today for this job fair prep workshop. So Bethany, is it possible to make me host or allow screen sharing?
I will do that right now. Good to go, Jake.
All right, thank you. Pull it up here. Okay. Can everybody see this? Bethany, Susan? Is this okay? Excellent. So, getting started. So this is the Virtual Job Fair Prep 1.0 workshop, what to expect before a virtual job fair. So we'll be going over tips and techniques for before, during, and after a virtual job fair. This is a workshop that my team puts on before all of our job fairs on the MassHire downtown Boston side. So we're very happy to be able to present this in tandem with Project Opportunity for the community job fair coming up next week. So moving along, I'm sure most of you have used Zoom before. However, if you are new, that's totally fine. Welcome. Just a quick little do-over of the Zoom functions that we have available. If you look on the left side of this screen, you'll see what technically you should be seeing right now. You should see my face in a little box, probably in the top right corner, and you'll see in the larger screen the presentation slide itself. So if you're not seeing that, definitely put something in the chat and we can try to get that solved. If you look on the right side of the screen here, you'll see that you have several functions, including raise hand, chat, Q&A, and more. So for today's webinar, we'll be focusing mostly on the chat and Q&A section. Throughout the webinar, I'll have a few questions that if you want to respond to those, you can put your answers in the chat section. Likewise, if you have any technical difficulties or anything or general comments, feel free to put those in the chat section. However, as we go through the presentation, if you have any questions that come up, we would prefer that you use the Q&A section for that, just so we can keep all the questions organized and answer as many questions as we can. So we're not flopping through, chat and Q&A for all the questions. So that'd be much appreciated. All right, so the agenda for today, for this afternoon, we will be going over understanding the importance of research and preparation for virtual job fairs, understanding how employers and organizations use virtual job fairs to market themselves during COVID and in general, and what to do to make the most of a virtual job fair before it, during, and after the job fair as well. So to get things started, like I said, I'll have a few questions throughout the webinar. I would love to know if this great group today has ever been to a virtual job fair before. Virtual job fairs really have just been a new thing going on with COVID in the past year or a little over a year. So I'm interested to know if you have all been to a virtual job fair, or now it seems like there's some more in-person job fairs opening up, if anybody has been to one recently. And so if you would put that in the chat, we can take like 30 seconds to see if people have been to one. And what is one question you have about attending a virtual job fair? So if you have any questions right off the bat, feel free to put those in the Q&A section. If you have any questions that come up throughout the presentation, definitely put those in the Q&A section as well. So we have a couple responses. Look like we have one person that has been to a virtual job fair, one person that has not. So that's great. You are both in the right place. This is a great presentation to help prep for a virtual job fair. And if you look on the right side of my screen here, you'll see a grid of panelists. This is from one of MassHire downtown Boston's previous job fairs. This is what you'll see when we're doing the Q&A section. During the job fair, you'll see all the employers in a grid such as this one. However, during the employer presentations, you'll be seeing a screen such as this. Looks like a few other chats came in. Looks like a couple other people haven't been. So that's great. That's great. You're in the right spot. So yeah, you're not alone. Virtual job fairs are still a fairly new concept, even after a year of COVID with using virtual job fairs. Our team is still constantly developing and thinking about how we can make the job fair a user-friendly experience for everybody. And we've used Zoom for job fairs. We've most recently come across a new platform called Premier Virtual that we've been using. So we're really exploring and trying to figure out the best ways to have virtual job fairs during COVID. There's a lot to expect with the job fair. There's a lot of opportunities that you have with a virtual job fair that you might not have had with an in-person job fair, and vice versa. So during this presentation, we're going to be talking about some of those opportunities that you have that are really great for virtual job fairs. We'll also be going over how to approach a virtual job fair, how to listen during the presentations, note taking as well as asking questions to employers to really understand which positions they have, what would be a good fit for you, and other information such as that. So moving on, whoops. So there's an important question. Why do employers attend virtual job fairs? So there are multiple reasons why organizations attend virtual job fairs. One of the big ones is they're able to market the company and their positions. Um, During these job fairs, they'll be presenting about the positions they have open, the opportunities they have open. They'll be talking about the positions that they currently have posted on their website, as well as maybe anticipated openings. They'll also be discussing why the company is a great place to work. Like I said, marketing their positions and their organizations. They're selling their organization to you, the job seekers, and they're going to be going over why it's a great place for job seekers to seek employment. It's also a great way for employers to collect resumes to pass to hiring managers. So I don't know how many of you have been to in-person job fairs during the pre-COVID days, which feels like eons ago. But during in-person job fairs, you would bring maybe 15 to 20 copies of your resume to a job fair and go around the different booths and desks and speak with employers and just pass off your resume to them. Simple as that. Um, MassHire Downtown Boston has come up with a method to easily pass on resumes to the employers for Zoom virtual job fairs. And I will be going over that process later on in the presentation, but we have a very efficient way to get your resume passed to hiring managers. And luckily there hasn't been any disconnect with any less resumes getting passed on due to the virtual world we're in right now, which we're thankful for. And finally, it's a great way to reach some more candidates. With in-person job fairs, there's always the issue of transportation, getting to the job fair, time commitments, schedule conflicts. But with online virtual job fairs, it really cuts a lot of that down. Your only transportation is going to your desk to set up your computer and attend the virtual job fair. And it's really made a bit of a difference in terms of allowing people some more freedom in attending these virtual job fairs when maybe in person they wouldn't have been able to. So that's another great reason for why virtual job fairs are beneficial in this day and age. So another question we have is, why should you, the job seekers, be attending virtual job fairs? And we have some great answers for that as well. So it is a great way to learn more about different employers' organizations and to listen to direct hiring managers and recruiters and listen about their experiences and what their organization has to offer. It's a great way, an efficient way to share your resume during this pandemic. Like I said, I'll be going over this process later on in the presentation, but we have a very effective way of passing along your resume and or cover letter during the pandemic to recruiters. It's a great opportunity to move your application forward and hopefully get to that first round interview. And it's also a good opportunity to ask employers questions about the industry, the organization, the positions that they have available or positions they will have available. It's a great learning opportunity, and having this direct contact and presentations with the employers is certainly a beneficial process. So before the virtual job fair, I'm going to be talking a little bit about how to best prepare for the virtual job fair. And I have a few bullet points for that. So researching companies and jobs, certainly an important thing to do before attending a virtual job fair. This didn't change from in-person job fairs, it's still the same for virtual, but really knowing who is attending the job fair and what positions they have available is very important. Crafting questions as well is very important. Questions to ask during the virtual job fair Q&A section. It's a great opportunity to show employers that you're really interested in their organizations, their positions, and that you really want to learn more and that you're invested into learning more. Before the virtual job fair, also updating your resume and creating your cover letter as well is very important. organizing your virtual job fair space, being ready to take notes, having a pen and paper or your computer, tablet, whatever is best for you to take notes, having that available, and making sure your virtual job fair space, your desk is organized, and limiting distractions. And finally, ensuring that you have the correct link for the event itself, so you don't miss the event. So moving on with researching before the job fair. We highly, highly, highly recommend reviewing the company websites. This will really get you a lot of great insight into what the companies do, what product or service they offer, how they describe their services, and what sets them apart from similar organizations and competitors. Where are they located, and can you see yourself making that commute? These are all important questions to find out before the virtual job fair. In our past virtual job fairs, we've had employers give us feedback where they're saying, we've had job seekers ask, so what do you guys do during the virtual job fair? And we don't want that happening. It's really on the job seeker to be doing that research and coming prepared, knowing which employers will be there, knowing how to approach them, what questions to ask. This is all very important. So we don't want anybody going in and saying, what do you do? What positions do you have open? We provide a lot of great resources to help you with finding answers to those questions before the job fair, so you can get to those really specific questions about different positions, so you can learn more about those positions. So visiting the company's career page. These are some great things that you can find on the career page, including the openings that are listed, whether jobs are full-time, part-time, or per diem. Obviously, if you're looking for a full-time day job, you don't want to be applying for a part-time overnight job, for example. What are the hours, the requirements? What skills, training, experience do they prefer versus require for the opening? That's also an important topic to be looking at on job applications. And do you meet most or all of the criteria? And finally, applying to the job as well. So this is all located on most companies' career pages, all this information. So moving on to crafting questions for the virtual job fair. So on the left, I have a few sample questions that are great questions to ask during a virtual job fair. They include, what would be the top priorities for a specific position in maybe the first 3 months? What is your hiring process looking like, especially with COVID? Is it different? Are the interviews being virtual now? Are they being in person? That's an important thing to know before applying. How soon do you expect the new hire to be fully operational? So these questions are all specific to positions. They're specific to different processes in the hiring process. So these are all great questions to ask. So when you ask employers questions, it really shows that you're looking for a good fit. I mentioned this a couple slides back, but it shows that you're really invested in learning more. And that really says a lot to employers. If you're asking, what do you guys do? It shows, oh, so this job seeker might just be showing up, not doing any prior research, just being like, okay, well, what do you do? What do you do? All right, interesting. Versus somebody that did their research, knows a few positions that they have available, that they're interested in. They come in saying, hey, I looked at this position, I applied. What is the hiring process for this position, and what does the professional development look like for this specific position? So that really makes a world of a difference for employers. And be specific. If you haven't already caught on, being specific is very important in asking these questions, especially in a Zoom format. During the Q&A section, there will be lots of different questions coming in. So if you have a question, be specific about the position that you're inquiring about. Be specific about the different hiring processes. If your question is for a specific employer, be sure to mention that employer. We've had job fairs before where job seekers will just say, what are your positions? What do you have open in this department? It's not directed to any employer, and we have maybe 10 employers on the panel that are just it's not gonna be specific. It's gonna have some confusion and really take some time for that. So be sure to be specific when asking questions during the virtual job fair. And I'll take a quick second just to check the chat and everything, make sure we don't have any questions. Okay, looks like we don't. Again, feel free to put any questions you have in the Q&A section, and we will go through those as we go through the presentation.
Jake, I'm keeping tabs. I'll jump in if there is.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Susan. I appreciate it. All right, so after learning a little bit about how we can ask questions, how we need to be specific, I have a question for you all, and that is, which of these questions is an appropriate question to ask during a virtual job fair? So if you could all just take a minute, read through these questions and put in A, B, C, or D in the chat as to which question you think would be best to ask. And then we'll go through each question and review each one and see if it's a good question to ask. So we'll just take about a minute. All right, maybe we don't need a full minute. There's already been a few people that have answered. So we have quite a few saying C. We have one for D, another one for D. Okay, a couple more for C. So it looks like we're between C and D here. All right. Great. Well, thank you all for being so quick in your response. That's great. So out of these questions, the best question to ask during a virtual job fair would be C. What does your training look like for a specific position? As I mentioned in the previous slide, being specific is very important. And when you're asking about the training and what it looks like for a specific position, that shows that you did your research, you know that the employer is hiring for this position, and you want to know what the training process looks like for that. So A, B, and D all at first glance might seem like great questions to ask. However, for A, what are the requirements of working for your organization? This is a question that you can find out doing your prior research before the virtual job fair. So when you're on the career pages of the different employers and looking at the positions will all have job descriptions that show the requirements of working for that position. Asking a blanket question like, what are the requirements of working for your organization? That's not specific. Each position has different requirements. You know, if you're looking for a forklift driver for a warehouse, that's going to have different requirements than being an administrative assistant for the logistics team in a warehouse. So it's important to recognize that. B, why hasn't anybody called me back? This is not a good question to ask during a virtual job fair, because first of all, there are so many other job seekers in this job fair that are trying to get their questions answered. And your personal issue that you've had with not having anybody call you back isn't something that employers are really taking the time for during a virtual job fair. They're answering more questions geared towards positions and training and the hiring process. So that's really something that you should, on your own time, reach out to who you've been in touch with, or reach out to the organization itself personally and try to find an answer for that question. And so nobody said B, which is good. Everybody was saying C and D. So D, what positions do you have available? So again, at first glance, this might look like a good question to ask. But again, employers don't have the time, and might, for big employers who have many positions, they might not even have right off the bat knowledge of all the positions that they have available, and they don't have time during a virtual job fair, which is already in an allotted time, to go over all the positions they have available. And the best thing is, it's all at your fingertips. Like I said, with the career page, you can go on there and it'll have all positions that employers have available. And you can look at the requirements, the skills, the preferences, the whole job description. So that's really something that you can do in your own time that employers don't have time to go into during a virtual job fair. Oops. So resume prep, I'm sure a lot of you have been thinking about this for a virtual job fair. They kind of go hand in hand, right? You think of job fair, you think of resume. That is the most important thing to have on you during a job fair. So I'm going to go through a few tips of how to prepare your resume for a virtual job fair. So first of all, you need to update it. Having an updated resume is key when handing it off to an employer. keep it general. So the way, and I will discuss this in one of the next slides, the process that we have is you will be submitting a resume into a form. And it's important to keep this resume general because you'll be selecting different employers that interest you from the job fair. So if 4 employers interest you, you can select those on the form, but you won't have an opportunity to be specific to a certain employer or position in your resume. So it's important that you keep that general. Highlight experiences and training that relate to the positions that interest you. If you're interested in a job that does manufacturing, be sure to highlight your manufacturing experience, certifications you may have, training you may have, and that's the same for any other position that interests you. Organize. This is very important as well. Make sure it is clean, concise, and easy to read. We've heard plenty of horror stories from employers with job seekers sending in 7 or 8 page resumes and just paragraphs and paragraphs of experience. But we want you to make sure it's clean and easy to read. And I believe it was stated earlier in the webinar that there was a project opportunity resume workshop. So I hope some of you were able to attend. If not, it sounds like it was recorded. So that would be a great resource to look at before the virtual job fair, just to make sure your resume is looking good. Proofreading. Proofread your resume for typos and awkward phrasing. I know I make this mistake all the time. I will spend an hour and a half, 2 hours just really focused on something, just really going hard. And then afterwards I realize, oh, I have like 20 grammar mistakes in this. And that's why we recommend that you ask a friend or a peer or somebody else to take a glance at your resume, to look through, make sure there's no typos, awkward phrasing, or grammatical mistakes, because it's always helpful to have that second pair of eyes look it over. Emphasize what makes you a great candidate to work for an organization. And finally, attend a webinar via Zoom with MassHire. So MassHire Downtown Boston has plenty of great webinars, including resume, interviewing, virtual interviewing, cover letter, networking, plenty of great webinars. Unfortunately, we don't have a webinar for resumes before the community job fair on the 19th, but certainly check out the webinars and workshops that we do have available between now and the job fair on the 19th and just in the future, because we have a lot of great resources included in that. So preparing your virtual job fair space for the event itself. We have a few tips here in this little flow chart. As I stated before, having a utensil, a pen or a pencil or your computer to take notes is key. These will be presentations put on by the employers, so being able to listen and write down and jot down bits of information that are important to you is very important. And of course, if you have a pen and pencil, you'll need a piece of paper or a notebook to write on. Coming up with targeted questions for employers. It's important to have just a few questions before the job fair begins, just to show employers that you're interested, you did your research, as I stated. And if you don't have any that come up during the job fair itself, that way you'll have some questions that you've already come up with that you can ask. Ensure that your job fair environment at your desk is quiet and be sure to limit distractions. You want to make sure that you can really listen and focus on the employers talking so you can get all the bits of information that are important to you and jot them down. Having notes from your research as well, having organized notes with, each employer listed out, a few bits of interesting information. Things like that are helpful to have by you during a virtual job fair, just so you can reference certain bits of information in your notes while the employers are presenting. Definitely be sure to have access to the Zoom link. You want to be sure that you're able to get into the virtual job fair itself. So that's very important to make sure that you have the Zoom link ready, saved somewhere that you know where it's located so you can easily join. And we definitely recommend logging in 5 to 10 minutes early just to make sure there are no technological issues with your computer, make sure everything's moving smoothly. You don't want to be logging in right at the start or a couple minutes after the start, realizing, oh, I have this technical issue that needs to be taken care of, and you end up missing maybe some of the introduction, maybe even some of the employers speaking. So that's why we recommend maybe 5 to 10 minutes earlier, just logging on and making sure there are no potential issues that could arise. So during the virtual job fair, upon joining the job fair, your video will be turned off and your microphone will be muted. This is the webinar format. It's the format we're using right now. So right now, your microphone is off, I can't hear you, and your video is also turned off. As we are, Susan, myself, and our panelists, and you all are attendees. So that is the webinar format for Zoom. Same as for this webinar, during the virtual job fair, use the Q&A section for any questions that you may have and not the chat box. Again, the reason for this is we want to keep all the questions organized and in one section so we don't have to be flip-flopping between the chat and the Q&A box, but we can just keep it all in one section, which would be helpful for the employers. Listening and taking notes. During the virtual job fair, thinking about with whom you want to share your resume, which employers stand out to you, which have some of the best positions being offered, which may be the best organization to work for. And that's why the notes are important, taking notes so you can look back after the job fair and say, hey, I really liked what they said about this position. I want to share my resume with them. And then finally, if this is provided, write down their contact information. Not every employer will share their email or phone number, but if one of the recruiters does, certainly write that down so you can follow up with them if you're interested in the position and want to talk a little bit more about that. So after the virtual job fair, you finished it, congrats. It's amazing, a little weight lifted off your shoulders. So if you are currently looking for a job, after the job fair, you can expect an email from us with a link to a form that we created where you can upload your resume and cover letter, as well as specify which employers interest you and which positions interest you. And I will show you this form in a couple slides. Be sure to pay close attention to deadlines as well. We will be sharing this form right after the job fair, and I believe you will have until the next Wednesday, May 26th, if I'm correct, to fill out that form. And then May 27th or 28th, which is a Thursday or Friday, we will be sharing your resumes and cover letters if you have them with the employers. After you fill out that form, be sure to look out for calls and emails from the employer. Make sure your email is all squared away. Be sure to check your junk mail as well. Sometimes that's really a pesky thing. Sometimes emails can come through your junk mail and just go by your radar. So be sure to check all possible avenues. In terms of calls, be sure to have your voicemail box available, have it cleared out. We've had plenty of employers reach out to us and say, we tried reaching out to this job seeker, but we couldn't leave a message. And that is very frustrating for employers and for job seekers as well. It's got to be frustrating that they can't get in touch with you if you perhaps miss their call. So be sure to have that voicemail box all cleared out. Now, if you currently aren't ready to look for a job quite yet, that's completely okay. This is still a lot of great information in this webinar for future applications as well. View the employers that we have listed on our community job fair event page. And I will show you this on the next slide and show you actually on our website at the end of the webinar. But we have all the employers listed and we have each employer linked to their career page. And we have all this on one of our event pages on our website, MassHire Downtown Boston's website. It's a great resource and I will share the link at the end of the presentation. And then apply directly on the employer's website when you're ready. This can be the employers that we have available for the community job fair coming up next week, or it can be any employer that interests you. But be sure to apply directly on the employer's website when you are ready to do so. So this is the section of participating employers that we have on our community job fair event page on the MassHire Downtown Boston website. So you'll see these 8 employers listed here from Amazon to Whole Foods Market. So each of these names, if you simply click on the name, if I would click on Amazon, that'll take me to Amazon's hiring page for Boston and the greater Boston area. Same with each of these employers here. So we just want to make it as easy as possible to get to the career pages of all the employers that are participating in the job fair. So as I stated, we're going to go over the resume form for the virtual job fair, and this is what it's going to look like. So we have the title up here, Community Virtual Job Fair Resume Form, May 19th, 21, the date of the job fair. So we'll be asking the following information: your name, email address, date of birth, the neighborhood of Boston in which you live, and your zip code. Now, rest assured, we aren't going to be sharing your date of birth, neighborhood, or zip code with employers. We will simply be sharing your name and email, so they have your contact information and also your resume and cover letter, which will be here. This is just farther down the form. So at the top, you'll see the employers as well, and you can select the little check boxes for all the employers that interest you. If Flower Bakery, Monroe Staffing, and VPNE are your go-to choices, that's great. Simply select those three and you're good to go. If all the employers interest you, simply click all at the top, and that'll signify to us that we'll be sharing your resume with all the participating employers. The box right beneath that, you'll see I am interested in the following positions, and please be specific as you can. Here you will be able to type in the different positions that interest you. And this is a great opportunity to really be specific about the positions: forklift driver, admin assistant, whatever is your go-to position, list them out in that box, and we will be sharing that with the employers. And then finally at the bottom, you'll see please upload your resume. So simply click choose file and select your resume. Now your resume needs to be in PDF and or .doc files only. And we ask that you name your document first name, last name, resume, just so it's easy for employers, if they get a lot of resumes, to sift through them and know whose resume is who just on first glance. And similarly with cover letter, although this is optional, if you do upload one, make sure it's in PDF or .doc format as well. And again, please name it first name, last name, .cl for cover letter. And again, that just helps employers stay organized. All right, so it's after the virtual job fair, you've applied to positions, you've sent your resume, and the best moment comes, the employer reaches out and wants to schedule a virtual interview. Congrats. So how do you prepare for the virtual interview? That's a great question. So we have a few tips here that we recommend before the virtual interview. So dress professionally, and business casual is appropriate for the interview. So even though it's virtual, it's not in person, it is still very important to have a great first impression, and dressing professionally for the interview is very important. So make sure it's professional clothing, not too casual, also not too dressy. You don't need to wear a tuxedo or anything, but also you can't be wearing just a t-shirt and a hat. So be sure to dress professionally, and clothes should be clean and pulled together as well. Setting the stage. Ensure that you have an appropriate background setting. If you can't find a spot in your apartment or your house that has maybe just like a not distracting background, you can do a virtual background. Zoom, I know, makes that available, and I believe the other video conferencing platforms as well. So as you can all see me, I have this MassHire background behind me, which is great, and that just ensures that nothing in the background will be distracting if you can't find a plain background in your residence. Ensure that it'll be quiet during your interview. Be sure to tell family members, roommates, friends to be quiet if you're doing your interview. Try to get in a room or spot in your house that is quiet. Tell your dog to hush down a little bit, and be sure that the area is also well lit. You want to be sure that employers can see your face, can be familiar with you, and have no issues with seeing you. And be comfortable with the video settings on your device. This is something that is, of course, something that has come up during the virtual world, and we want to make sure that before your interview, you know how to allow maybe your camera to be on and allow your microphone to be on, just so you don't run through any issues during the interview itself. So just a quick Google of how to allow the microphone or camera on this specific laptop or computer or tablet will help solve that issue for you. But it's just important to be prepared. And some helpful resources for what to wear during the interview. Goodwill Industries has lots of clothes for very affordable prices that you can get, and also Savers as well. And just Googling again, business casual attire will bring some great options for you to reference. We also have some resources of where to find other job fairs and recruitments. So Craigslist is a great spot to be, to have advertisements for job fairs. MassHire Downtown Boston highlights a lot of events going on in job fairs on Craigslist. Eventbrite also is great. JobQuest, mass.gov, certainly MassHire Downtown Boston's website as well has a lot of great resources, and I will show you in a couple slides here just what our homepage looks like and the different resources that we have. You can also join an email list of local one-stop career centers. MassHire Downtown Boston has a newsletter. I'm sure some of the other many career centers in Massachusetts have e-newsletters as well. So certainly worth checking out and signing up. All right, so we are nearing the end of the presentation. Just a quick recap of what we went over during this presentation was understanding the importance of research and preparation for a virtual job fair, understanding how employers use virtual job fairs to market their organizations during COVID and in general, and how to make the most of a virtual job fair before, during, and after as well. So next steps at MassHire Downtown Boston. So you'll see we have this little step ladder of different events and resources that MassHire has to offer. So we offer connecting with a career coach at MassHire, creating a resume workshop, digital communications and virtual video interviewing workshops, developing your skill set for current opportunities. We have a great forum at MassHire of several of our career coaches and staff members to go over this, and cover letter workshops as well. So it looks like we have still a little bit of time. So I will go through really quick our website and different resources that we have. So first of all, this is our homepage, MassHire Downtown Boston Career Center. So some great resources we have is who is hiring now. So if you click on this button on our homepage, it'll take you to this page. So this is where we have 13 different industries labeled, employers hiring during COVID-19. And we have all different kinds of jobs being posted and events for all these specific industries. So if I'm to click on healthcare, for example, it'll take you to our healthcare who is hiring now page. And we have events at the top listing all different healthcare events going on throughout Boston and the greater Boston area. And as you can see, we have quite a few events coming up in this industry. If you scroll down, you'll see hot jobs. And this is where we have all jobs pertaining to healthcare posted. So this is a great resource to use when looking through different industries and searching for jobs that might interest you. And the layout is the same for all of the industry pages. At the very top, we have employers hiring during COVID-19. So this is sort of a one-stop shop kind of page where we have events and webinars from all different industries, but events that are going on through COVID. So of course, we started this page during the COVID-19 pandemic, and this is where you can find all different industries, events, and hot jobs. So as you can see, we have all these events up top. If you scroll down, you'll see we have it, the jobs divvied up between healthcare and human services, retail and grocery, and all other industries. So it's simply a drop-down menu, clicking show more. We'll pull up all of these great positions with the employers in bold at first, and then the position with a direct link to the application page. So this is a great resource to use when searching through jobs in different industries.
I think it's important to also mention that becoming a member of the MassHire system is really a good idea. And it may seem a little cumbersome, but we want to ensure you that we can help you get through the process. And if you could show them how to become a member, Jake, and also how to access a one-on-one appointment with a coach, as well as the talent match portal, that would be great.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Susan, for that. So if we're on the home page here, you all know where Who is Hiring Now is now. But on the left side, we have Become a Member. So if you click that, it'll take you to this page. So there's 3 simple steps to become a member with MassHire. Completely free, very easy, should take you just a few minutes. So step 1 is to register on JobQuest. Once you do so, you will receive an 8-digit job seeker ID number. Once you do that, you'll fill out MassHire Downtown Boston's form, and make sure you don't lose that 8-digit number because you'll need that for this form as well. And once you fill that out, you'll need to attend a welcome session with MassHire. And after that, you will have access to all these great resources that I've talked about, and including resources such as Talent Match Portal and one-on-one meetings with coaches, which I will show you now. So if we go back to the home page, and if we go back to the Who is Hiring Now page, you'll see Join the Talent Match Portal right here. So if you click that, I'll go through Talent Match Portal first. This is a resource that we first created back at the beginning of COVID. I believe it was April of 2020. So just past its birthday. But we use it as an email source. So we have 10 different industries here. And if you are interested in, say, healthcare, you can click on healthcare and fill out an application for healthcare. So what this does is it gives us your email and your interest in healthcare. And weekly, myself and my other colleague, Marcella, we go through hot jobs for the week with different employers that we have partnerships with, or different events going on in these industries. And we email you with specific healthcare positions. And that's the same for any of the other industries that we have posted. Oops. Let me do this real quick. So same with delivery, warehouse, retail, and grocery. If you sign up for one of these buckets, as we call them, you will receive an email with jobs and events in that industry. And that's weekly. So it's a great resource. It's free. All you need to do is sign up. And from then on, you will be receiving emails with great jobs and events in those industries. So certainly a great resource to use. Definitely check that out. And then if we go back to the initial page, Job Seeker Resources, just on the other side is scheduling an appointment with a career coach. So we offer this service for our members. So what you do is it'll take you to this calendar here, and you'll just be scheduling a 30-minute meeting with a career coach at MassHire. And this is all with your schedule in mind. So let's say you're free Tuesday the 18th at 1 p.m. That's perfect because there is a slot for 1 p.m. So if we click that and fill out your information, you will then have access to 1 p.m. It'll schedule with a career coach at MassHire Downtown Boston, and you're able to meet with them for a half hour and go over anything job search related, anything at all. And all of our career coaches are experts in the workforce development and searching for jobs and resume prep and all that good stuff. So you're in great hands. And it's a great way to initially meet with a career coach to kind of set a plan and a goal for job search.
Jake, would you mind going to the homepage one more time? Because we do have someone who's asking about a small business, if they're a small business owner and they're looking to expand their business, how might they benefit from MassHire? So I think this is someone looking as an employer to
Sure.
help being connected to job seekers.
Sure. That's a great question. And first of all, I'd say reach out to myself, Susan, or my colleague Marcella. I will drop my email in the chat then before the end of this. But if you are an employer and looking for resources, we have a tab for that as well on our homepage. As you can see, we have job seekers and employers. So if you are interested in finding candidates for your organization. These are all great resources to use. So if we click recruit candidates, if you're hiring now, we can certainly help with that. So you can browse job fairs that we have going on that you could be a part of. You can also click recruit candidates now. And we also have a form to fill out to highlight positions that you have available. And Susan, if you could remind me where that is.
You had it. It was
That
under
one,
the
recruit
photo.
candidates. Okay.
No, you were on the right page.
Great.
Recruit candidates now.
Got it.
That's it.
So if we click that, I'll take you to this form. Simply fill this out, and then we'll be in touch with you to further discuss your needs and how we can be of assistance. So that's a great question.
I'm just going to bring up a few more questions that were in the chat. Someone asked if we would be sending out this presentation. It is being recorded, and so the link will be on the Project Opportunity website, and eventually we'll make a link from our website at MassHire Downtown Boston as well. We just are waiting for Project Opportunity to post it on their YouTube channel. But so that happens for all of these workshops. And then someone else, let's see, hold on, there are a few more questions. Someone asked, does MassHire have staff that specialize in individuals with CORIs? And the answer is yes, we do. What's probably best is, so in the normal environment, we had drop-ins that were specific to individuals with CORI questions. That is not happening because of COVID. And so if you have a specific request like that, you can always call our main number and they'll connect you with one of the coaches that works specifically with that population. And let's see. Someone asked if all the jobs are in the Boston area. Well, that's a great question, Dan. Because we are a career center based in downtown Boston, one of the interesting things is that employers come to us from really the greater Boston area. So we sometimes post positions that are outside of Boston. But because we're downtown Boston, people know that we generally serve people who have access to downtown Boston or who are from Boston. So the answer is a little bit of both. Okay, I think I've gotten everything. Yeah, any other questions? You feel free to put them in the chat or the Q&A. I'm checking everything. Yeah, I think, any other questions coming in?
Doesn't look like it.
No, I think.
But as we wait for some more to come in, I'll just show real quick as well where you can find our community job fair page for the community job fair coming up on May 19th. So if you're on our homepage, simply scroll down and you'll see online webinars and resources labeled here. And these are all of our immediate upcoming events going on. So you'll see we have an early childhood education event coming up tomorrow, a patient care technician recruitment on May 13th. And you'll see here community job fair and education resource fair for May 19th. So if you click on this link, it'll take you to the page. So if you scroll down, you'll see the different resources we have, including helping you prepare with CORIs, sealing and expungement, becoming a member, and then you have the community job fair itself in the middle. And as I showed earlier in the presentation, we have the participating employers included down here. And like I said, they are all linked to their career page as well. So certainly check out this this page. I will send you the link right now. I'm also including my email.
In the chat, actually.
Oh, it is. Oh, great. Okay.
While you're there, do you mind clicking on the plus sign for Friday, May 21st?
Absolutely, yeah.
So I've been involved in working with Bethany to fill up all these presenters to employers and programs, educational programs to speak with everyone. So it's a great lineup. All of the employers that are participating are CORI-friendly. And then all of the education and resource programs are also. So it's a super lineup. There's a lot of different types of resources. And actually, one of the things I'm noticing is that my page has a little bit more updated information. And I think it might be that you just need to refresh, but Jake, but Building Pathways is also coming, as well as Suffolk Construction on the Friday, the 21st. Yeah, and we, yep, I think the community job fair is up to date, so.
Great. Apologies for that. And last,
Is asking a question, can MassHire sign up? And I'm not sure I understand what you're asking, Yanita. Do you mind clarifying?
I mean, can we be in the job fair? Maybe.
Oh, maybe. Well, we're hosting. We'll be emceeing. You'll see me. I'll be sort of moving things along on Wednesday, May 19th. And Bethany will be the MC for the Education and Resource Fair. So.
Excellent. All right, and then I know this has been a lot. One final resource I want to show is our event calendar. If you go to the top toolbar of our page, you'll see calendar. Simply click events calendar, and it'll show you all the events we have going on for May and then June as well, if you go to June. So another just great resource to use. Susan, were you able to send this link in the chat? I can do that.
Yeah.
You did? Excellent.
Thank you so much. And just it's a reminder, like that MassHire membership will get you access to all of those workshops. They're all free. Events are free. Everything is really easy. So
yes, yeah. Absolutely. All right. Oops.
So Bethany.
Signing out. And then finally, last slide. If it loads, there we go.
So I think Dan's asking a question about registering for the event. If you go to the event page that's in the chat, you can register for the job fair, and that'll give you the link that you need to attend the presentations by all of the presenters, both for the job fair. There's a registration for the job fair, and there's also a registration for the education resource fair.
Yes. And you can find that link right here on the page. Great question. All right. And the final resource we have is signing up for our newsletter. This is a great way to stay up to date with our events going on with MassHire Downtown Boston and other events in the Boston and Greater Boston area. This is the phone number to our front desk. If you have any questions regarding MassHire services, certainly feel free to reach out to that number as well. And with that, that is the job fair prep presentation. I want to thank you all so much for listening this afternoon. Susan, if there's anything else you wanted to go over, we're all set. Great. Then I will pass it back to Bethany for the closing remarks. Thank you.
Thanks, Jake, so much. I'm going to stop. I'm going to reclaim host privileges if I can. I'm sorry.
Yes. Should be able to give it back.
Perfect.
To you. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Jake. That was an amazing presentation. Thank you, Susan, as well, helping our folks get all queued up and geared up for our job fair, our virtual job fair that's forthcoming. And I really appreciate that tour that you gave us of the MassHire Downtown Boston website. There's so many benefits and resources for job seekers and employers. So we're so fortunate to have partners in you at the City of Boston, at the Office of Workforce Development, and on behalf of the community. So thank you so much for the great work you guys are doing. And of course, thank you all for joining us. We do have a few minutes, so if folks still have questions for Susan or Jake or about project opportunity, feel free to plug them in the chat. Susan, you're a fabulous moderator and fielder of questions. So if you see anything that pops up, feel free to jump in. I think actually I see a question from, oh, looks like it's been resolved. See, there's Susan again. Great. This has been an outstanding job fair prep series. And I'm so thankful again to MassHire Downtown Boston, to Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, to BeProximate for your partnership. I also want to highlight, and I mentioned this before, or maybe I didn't, but Mayor Janey proclaimed the week of May 16th, Second Chance and Reentry Week, and announced this virtual job fair series as part of that. It's really designed to help current or formerly justice involved individuals access job openings. As you saw today, MassHire has a plethora of resources, as well as educational opportunities and job search skills and other critical resources. So we're so glad that we were able to bring this to you today. As I mentioned, all of the events are being held throughout this month, led in partnership with BeProximate, MassHire Downtown Boston, Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, Project Opportunity. And I'm so glad to also just highlight that this is the first time ever that we've worked with Suffolk County Jail and Suffolk County House of Corrections to make sure that residents can participate in these virtual events. Very proud about that. These event series, as you know, are free and open to all Massachusetts residents, but it does require your registration. So I can't emphasize that enough. We really need you to register. So if you would, I think the registration is in the chat, but I'll plug it in again and follow up with the flyer. Again, so I think as of next week, we have a ton of events. There are a few panel discussions about progressive prosecution, criminal justice, and the state of the prison industrial complex, if you will, as well as our job fair, our CORI-friendly job fair and education resource fair. I think there's also an exhibit that's taking place at the MFA featuring artwork from students at Suffolk County House of Corrections and jail. So that's going to be a great week of programming. I will plug in BeProximate's website in the chat as well. Let me do that now. Oh, that may not be it, but I will plug it in a moment. And this job fair really does support the mission of the mayor's upcoming 2020 summer violence prevention plan. So we really ask that if you know folks who have CORI who are looking for a new start, we ask that you share this flyer with people you know, with your teams, with your clients, ask them to check out these CORI-friendly events. And if you also know someone who might be interested in CORI sealing or expungement, please share Project Opportunity's website, the flyer, all of the information, encourage folks to participate. The CORI sealing and expungement process, at least from the end of the city, is very minimally invasive. We field all of the contact information to the attorneys, then the privilege applies. And so all of your information will be kept confidential. We just really want to help folks remove the barrier of a CORI, especially as it pertains to employment and of course to housing and other resources. And if you know anyone who's interested in learning more about CORIs or just CORI training in general, we offer high level and detailed CORI trainings. So feel free to reach out. Crispin Birnbaum at the Lawyers Clearinghouse is a fantastic partner in that. So very excited to be able to offer that to nonprofits, to small teams, and to individuals upon request. And again, please register for the job fair next week and the employment resource fair. It is going to be a great resource. You've learned how to navigate this this new format for a job fair. And thank you so much, Jake, for that wonderful presentation. And Susan, if there are no other questions, I don't see anything else in the chat. Oh, I do see a question about the time frame. How long should you be out before you start the process to remove your record? Well, so I can tell you just generally, you need to have at least 3 years for a misdemeanor and 7 years without any new offenses for felonies. And then there are specific categories, but just generally, it's from the last date of disposition. So once you're post-incarceration, if you don't reoffend for 3 years, your misdemeanors can be removed from your record or sealed. And then any felony convictions, with some exceptions, without any new offenses, can be removed as well. And again, we do that for free in partnership with the Lawyers Clearinghouse. The cost of obtaining, counsel to do that is again very exorbitant and costly for many pro se indigents. And really only a quarter of folks who are eligible have taken advantage of this. So we really encourage folks to, at least if you're not sure, at least have a consultation and then determine when you are eligible for your CORI to be sealed or expunged, if at all. So all that information is on the project opportunity site. That should be in the chat. If there are no other questions, we have 20 minutes or so left. And I would share the project opportunity site, but I'm not as good as you, Jake, at sharing. But plug around, feel free to reach out to Susan, to Jake, to myself, and we're happy to help with any resources that we can to support you in your job search and removing the barrier of a CORI. With that, if there are any other closing remarks from you, Susan or Jake? Nothing more? Okay.
Next week.
Yeah, see you next week. We hope we see you all next week. And this recording would be available on Project Opportunity site by tomorrow, not next week. Susan, by tomorrow. Okay, well, thank you all. Be safe. Have a great afternoon, everyone, and enjoy spring, finally.
Thank you so much, Bethany. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Susan. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.